Welcome, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far, wherever you're based, morning or afternoon. And welcome to the Basics of Using Xero for Your Business webinar. Now, my name's Andy, and I'm a Xero Education Specialist. I'm actually based in the UK. My local office is the Milton Keynes office, our HQ for the United Kingdom. But it's fantastic today to be delivering to yourselves, our US Xero community. So welcome to our webinar. Now, first off, there are a few housekeeping tips I just want to run through to get you the best audio and visual experience. Now, I am going to recommend that you close down any other applications that you may have running in the background. And these will be things such as your Skype, maybe emails, maybe you're a little bit like me and you have about 1,000 web browsers open at any one point. Please do take a second to shut those down. It will open up the bandwidth so that your audio and video doesn't move around. I was trying to think of the word there. Move around. Sometimes it can go a little bit odd, a little bit pixelated if you do have that bandwidth used up by other applications. So just take a second to close those down for me. You should see a webinar control panel coming up at the bottom of your screen. And please don't worry if you can't see it. Just wiggle your mouse around and it should pop up for you. This will show you your options for audio, Q&A, chat box. You also have a raise hand facility as well. Again, if you can't see it, just move your mouse around the bottom of the screen and it should pop up for you. Now, I have in fact disabled that chat box, by the way, for today's session, but I will be using it at the end of the webinar to share some really handy resources with you. So the chat box is disabled, but don't worry, you can still interact with me in the Q&A panel. Now, this will be used if you maybe have a question throughout the presentation, maybe if you have an issue that you want to bring to light with me. What I'll be doing is I'll be monitoring that Q&A panel and I'll be answering your questions either live, if we have time, or I'll put some time aside at the end of the webinar to get those questions answered before I bid you farewell and give you the next steps and resources ready to go. And if you could actually just head across to that Q&A panel, what I would like to do to start off with is first of all to ask you kindly to give me maybe a thumbs up, maybe a smiley face, let me know that you can hear me. Also, let me know where you're calling in from today. I'm always fascinated to see how far and wide our webinars do reach. So please do use that Q&A. Just let me know if you can hear me and also where you are calling in from today. Fantastic. We've got George coming in there from Pennsylvania. Welcome to our presentation. We've got a smiley face there from Charlotte. Simon has given us a thumbs up as well, so glad you can hear me. I'm assuming then that you can all hear what I'm saying. I'm not going to be rambling on to myself for the next hour or so. Oh, and by the way, if you do navigate away from today's webinar and maybe you're struggling to find your way back, first of all, don't worry. All you'll need to do is hit that Zoom camera icon and it will bring you straight back to me. Welcome as well, Thomas. I can see you've just popped that in the Q&A there, calling in from Redlands. CA, I'm guessing California. Maybe I've got that wrong. Let me know. Welcome to everyone that has joined us today. So today I'm going to cover an introduction to, first of all, who we are at Xero, including our history and our company purpose. We'll spend most of the session looking at our product demo, which covers some of the highlights of Xero, including bank reconciliation, invoicing, supplier bills using HubDoc, and our fantastic reporting feature as well. We'll have a look at Xero Central, which is our help center where you can access free and unlimited help, 24/7 support, learning resources, and all of those support articles that you'd be wanting to have a look at if maybe you want to learn the product a little bit better. We'll then take a look at different business pricing plans before we cover any questions that you might have at the end of the presentation. So let's begin with who we are here at Xero. Xero was founded in New Zealand in 2006. Now, our founders believed that small businesses succeed when they have access to up-to-date advice from their accountants, and existing software just wasn't delivering on that. So what they did is they founded Xero with two main things in mind. Number one, to help small business owners effectively run their businesses with better tools, information, and connections. And also, number two, to help advisors give those business owners the right advice at the right time based on accurate and up to date information. Now, I've worked in practice here in the UK as an accountant, and I can't quite believe or put as much stress on that last bit of the sentence there. Up to date information. That is what I craved from the clients that I dealt with, small business owners. And of course, Xero helps you, the business owners, keep your data in real time so you readily are able to access that data whenever you log in to the program. Now, our studies show that those businesses using Xero and working with a Xero certified accountant are in fact more likely to succeed. In actual fact, 85% of small businesses who worked with a Xero certified advisor were still in business after 5 years. Because of this, Xero is designed as a shared ledger that's updated in real time, where the same information is seen by both the business owner and their advisor, again, at the exact same time, which makes those business conversations and collaborations that much easier. And then, of course, once you've had those conversations, you can make effective business decisions. Now, Xero offers you many great benefits, but just to touch on a few here, we have automatic updates. As Xero is a cloud product, any updates or new features will be visible in Xero next time you log in. There's no need to update to get access, meaning that you're never going to miss out on product releases. We help you get paid faster with online invoices and automated invoice reminders. And actually, the power of both of those really does collaborate when you use payment services as well, which we found helps you get paid from your customers up to twice as fast. Now, Xero is full of data automation features to reduce manual data entry and save time. Some features, just to name a few, are bank feeds and that invoice reminder feature we just mentioned. We have the ability to connect to other data sources. For example, we connect with hundreds of banks around the world to feed bank statement data straight into Xero, ready for your bank reconciliation. Now, you can have an unlimited number of users per Xero subscription for absolutely no extra charge. So no extra charge for an unlimited number of users, which means that you can invite your staff, bookkeeper, accountant, friends into Xero and have full control over their level of access. And lastly, MFA or multi-factor authentication, which provides added security, ensuring your data always stays protected. Xero also connects and syncs with over 1,000 other cloud applications. And by the way, this number is continuing to grow. Xero is your foundation, but in order to get the right fit for your business, you can connect with other apps to make the system work the best way for you. These connected cloud apps provide extra functionality and cover all the needs of small businesses, such as point of sale, inventory management, customer relationship management, and so on. When you connect a Xero organization to one of these apps, data flows between them, so there's no need to duplicate your efforts. And of course, when I say that over 1,000 apps are available, you will have access to these from the Xero App Store, which you can access through the Xero App Launcher, those 9 white dots in the top right-hand corner of your Xero file. So now for the really fun stuff. We are going to take you on a quick tour of Xero, focusing on those day-to-day features. Now, I've got my demo company loaded up in front of me. You should be able to see that on screen. Let me know if you can't in the Q&A. Quick tip then on this. Please do use your demo companies. They are a fantastic sandbox environment for you to test out the features we're going to be looking at today. It's all fictitious data, so use that sandbox environment to learn the product, make as many mistakes as possible, and ultimately get better at using Xero for your business. So you're going to land on the Xero dashboard. Now, this dashboard is what we have on screen. This is the dashboard for your business. The tiles on the dashboard pull through key information so you can see how your business is performing as soon as you log in. You've got that insight ready to go from this high-level mission control point. So the first tile we'll have a look at is, in fact, our banking tile. We have that there on the left-hand side. Now, the bank account tile shows you your bank balance, balance in Xero, statement balance as well. I'll explain why we've got two balances in a short while. You'll also see a real-time graph which you can hover your mouse over to see the balance in Xero as at a specific date, which makes it nice and easy to consume that data in graph format. You can also jump straight through to your reconciliation by pressing reconcile 27 items in this instance. So it's nice and easy to get through to that reconciliation page. And of course, the three dots are for our overflow menu. We have a whole host of other features that we can use for our bank account, such as creating cash transactions or maybe imposing some bank rules to speed up the process of reconciling those cash transactions. Now, just scrolling out quickly, zooming out quickly, I should say, we've got our account watch list on the right-hand side. Here we have it. Here you can pin key account codes to keep an eye on them as soon as you log in. You'll see your current month figures, your year-to-date totals, and again, from the overflow menu, you can add in or maybe remove codes. You can even show your budgets column to give you more insights straight away. Scrolling down, next up, we have our invoices owed to you. Now, if you work with an accountant or bookkeeper, or maybe you're just working with yourself, that's absolutely fine. You may know this as the receivables or the debtors. So these are the customers that owe your business money. For example, you've raised a customer invoice, maybe for goods or services you've provided, and they're yet to pay that invoice off in full. Well, from here, you can click through into these totals by using the draft invoice button, awaiting payment, and even the overdue button as well. Now that will take you straight through to the relevant section of your sales ledger or your sales area to make it a little bit simpler. And again, we have full interactivity with that bar chart graph. So we can see how many invoices have been raised for that date period. We could hover our mouse over those bar charts, click through into them to get a breakdown of those totals. We can even raise a sales invoice using the button on screen. And actually, it's the exact same for our bills as well, which we receive from our suppliers. It's just the other side of the coin. We're dealing with purchases in this panel as opposed to sales. And at the bottom there, just on the left-hand side, we have our total cash in and out graph. And it's one of my favorite features to use within the dashboard because this summarizes the money in and money out for the current and previous 5 months. So this is a really good place to see how your cash flow has changed over the last 6 months and even potentially to spot any trends forming. We can hover our mouse over those bar charts and see the in, the out, and that all-important difference as well. So we can maybe prepare for any issues on the horizon. Now, of course, I've customized my very own dashboard, but you could press the Edit Dashboard button to move these panels around as you see fit, up or down, left or right, and you can show and hide them using those tick boxes. So you have functionality to customize what you see as soon as you log in. Now, one thing I do want to highlight is this fixed panel that we have at the top. Now, this will always be accessible from wherever you are within Xero. So we've got some tabs here, and we've actually just looked at the dashboard one there in the top left-hand corner. But just to quickly call out two features that you're going to want to make use of day in, day out. We've got the plus button, which gives you quick access to creating new transactions, whether they're cash, whether they're invoices or bills. You could even create new contact records and new journals as well. And we also have our global search function, which, by the way, doesn't work in our demo company because, of course, we're using fake data. But be sure to check this out in your live organizations because you can search through cash transactions, invoices and bills, quotes, purchases, contact records, journals. The list truly does go on. It's the one-stop shop to find anything in Xero that you've posted or processed. So be sure to check out your global search function as well. It's that magnifying glass at the top of your screen. So now that we have a quick orientation into our dashboard and our header at the top there, we know what those widget panels can do for us to give us that overall insight when we log in. We're going to have a look at our bank account. Now I'm going to switch back to my keynotes just to give you a little bit of information before we check out the bank accounts in Xero. And of course, with bank accounts comes bank reconciliation, which is where we agree our accounting transactions to the transaction going through the bank. So bank reconciliation is an important task that ensures you've accounted for all business transactions that have gone through the business bank account. The process involves comparing the bank statement lines with the transactions in Xero. If the bank statement line has a corresponding Xero transaction, then the two can be matched together, and that's what we call reconciliation. If the bank statement line doesn't have a corresponding transaction in Xero, then one will need to be created. And this is what I call a cash transaction. Now in Xero, we call these spend money, receive money, or transfer money transactions. This can be done during the bank reconciliation stage. To check all bank statement lines have been added, you need to compare the bank balance in Xero with the bank balance on your bank statement. So two balances, we need to compare them both, and once the reconciliation is complete, fingers crossed, of course, we'll agree it to that bank statement balance. So a lot of information there, but quite critical information when it comes to managing your business bank account effectively, and also effectively managing your Xero file. Of course, you're going to want to keep your account transactions as up to date as can be. And I would give you a quick top tip here is speak to your financial advisor if ever you feel a little bit confused, maybe a little bit overwhelmed as to what the bank reconciliation task is for and how to process this correctly. Speak to your accountant or speak to your bookkeeper. Now, before you can begin to reconcile the bank, you will need to get the bank statement lines into Xero in the first place. Now, a direct bank feed would be the best option for this, if one is available for your bank. And actually, you can find out a full list of all bank feed providers by heading across to Xero Central. We've published a full list for you, so be sure to search for that article. Now, direct bank feeds create a secure and direct connection between the bank and Xero to allow for the free flow of bank statement data into Xero, which will happen regularly. I've actually seen it live in practice. Sometimes they've refreshed up to 15 minutes. That's all it's taken to get that bank activity into Xero's bank reconciliation page. Now, the frequency will actually vary between banks, but as a minimum, it would happen daily. But again, I have seen this happen much faster. Now, if a direct bank feed isn't available, you do have other options available to you. And one to mention today is our manual import function. Now, this involves downloading the online bank statements and importing them into Xero. Xero will accept these statements in OFX, QIF, or even CSV file format. So you have a range of options available to get those formats correct and, of course, to get your data onto Xero. So let's take a look at how we can reconcile our bank in Xero by heading back to our demo company. So from our dashboard, we're going to click the Reconcile 27 Items button on the left-hand side there, which will, of course, transport us straight into our bank reconciliation page. Now, the one thing I do want to discuss first of all is these two balances we have at the top of the screen. You're probably thinking, why do we have two balances? A statement balance and a balance in Xero. I mean, maybe you're looking at your bank statements online right now and thinking, I only have one on there. Well, let me break this down for you. First up, we're going to have a look at the statement balance. Now, this shows the most up-to-date bank balance that Xero holds for you. Now, this will be the statement balance on your bank. So literally log into your online banking provider and it should tally to that statement balance. And how does the bank balance here get calculated? Well, of course, if we've got a bank feed in place, or maybe we're manually importing our transactions, well, that data is being pulled into Xero, and we can see it here on screen. So statement balance, quite simply put, relates to the bank balance as at that same date on our online banking provider's webpage. The balance in Xero, however, is also known, by the way, as the cash book balance. That's slightly different. This is the sum of all the transactions entered into this bank account on Xero. So things such as invoices, bills, cash transactions. And ultimately what we're doing by reconciling our bank account, we are matching the balance in Xero to the statement balance. And once our bank reconciliation is complete and all our items have been allocated correctly, we should be left with just the one balance left. And in this instance, it would be $8,315.64. And that would be if we have our bank rec up to date and everything has been allocated correctly. So I'm going to zoom out for us. And before actually I go on to show you exactly what we have below, if you're a little bit confused as to what those balances mean, please do click the different balances hyperlink there. We've actually prepared a short video for you, which you can watch just to explain in a little bit more detail, again, why you have two different balances on Xero. Now, as I scroll down, we can see we have a left-hand side of our reconciliation and we have a right-hand side of our reconciliation. So we've got two separate columns. Now, the bank statement lines, which have been pushed into Xero by a bank feed or maybe manually imported, relate to the left-hand side of our page. So left-hand side relates to our statement balance at the top, funnily enough, on the left. And on the right-hand side, we have all of those transactions posted to Xero. Now, of course, we can also create new transactions if they don't exist already. So right-hand side, again, funnily enough, relates to the balance in Xero, which is on the right-hand side at the top. Now, Xero has some great features to help you with bank reconciliation. And the first one I want to discuss today is our auto match feature. And actually, we've got a nice little example here at the top of our screens. We've got that with Ridgeway University, which currently I can see we've got an amount received into our bank for $6,187.50. So what exactly is auto match? Well, Xero will automatically match the statement line data on the left-hand side with the relevant transaction in Xero, of course, on the right-hand side. Now, what Xero is doing is it's looking at four different pieces of information: the date, the payee, the reference, and the amount that's gone in or out of our bank account. So if that statement line on those four different conditions match the transaction in Xero on the right, then Xero will automatically match those together, and it will indicate it to you, the end user, by highlighting the transaction in green. Now, all that's left to do really for us right now is to press OK if we agree with that match. But if we don't, we could create one from scratch. We could even find and match the correct transaction by clicking that button in the top right-hand corner. So what I could then do is go ahead and press OK, and we've now reconciled that statement line. So what's happening there is a little thing called double entry. Now, I'm not going to go into double entry because that's quite an accounting term there. I don't want to overwhelm you, but with double entry, we're essentially recording where that account transaction is going behind the scenes. So don't worry, Xero will take care of that for us. And the eagle-eyed among you would notice that the balance in Xero has now updated to $7,948.04. Now, before that was, I think, around about the $1,000 mark. So as we've reconciled that line, we've now influenced our balance in Xero. We've increased it because we received that money into our bank. Of course, the balance in Xero will fluctuate. It will go up and down until we eventually arrive at our statement balance, that $8,300 figure on the left there. There is, however, a slight variation to auto match. What I would like you to do, though, is just keep in your heads at the back of your minds there, 7948. That is currently our balance in Xero. Well, the other variation we have of auto match is right here with Truxton Property Management. Now, in this instance, we've got the spent amount, so we've paid a supplier out of our bank account. The money is going out. We've paid Truxton Property Management, 1181.25. Now, we do have a prefix on the account transaction side, which says payment. Now, in this instance, perhaps we've paid our supplier by check, potentially. We've written that check out. We've posted it to our supplier. Now, of course, we want to mark it as paid in our file here on Xero because we don't want to run the risk of maybe potentially duplicating that check, maybe sending a second one if it's still on our reports. So we've marked it as paid, and when we did mark it as paid, we would have already updated our balance in Xero at the top. But again, all we're doing now is matching the statement line, once that check has been cashed by our supplier, with that payment transaction we created. Now, of course, exact same thing, 4 criteria here: the date, the payee, there is no reference on this, but it would still look for it even though it's blank, and of course the amount. Once we're good to go, and I will just scroll up so we can see the balance in Xero live, 7948, we can press OK. And what you will notice is that our balance in Xero has not updated in this instance because, again, we updated that when we marked that payment as paid. Okay, all we're doing there is just reconciling the payment. We're not actually paying off the bill. We'd already done that when we marked it as paid. Now, our second tip that I want to give you today for reconciling your bank in a much faster, efficient, and easier way is bank rules. So here in the middle, we have a transaction for 7-Eleven. Now, bank rules are a really efficient way of reconciling what I call your cash transactions. So those will be transactions that you pay from the bank using your business card. Maybe it could be a credit card as well, but they don't require bills or invoices to be created. So maybe you've stopped off at the gas station, I don't know, grab yourself a coffee, maybe a little pack of chewing gum. You've been given a receipt, maybe you've been that receipt. You don't have a document to reconcile your statement line to. So we're going to create our very own cash transaction. Now, we'll actually be creating transactions in a second, but for the purpose of bank rules, what we can now do is we can set these up to deal with those repeating cash transactions, usually of low value. So in this instance, every time we buy something from 7-Eleven, which, remind me if I'm not correct here in the Q&A, I believe that's a gas station based in the USA. When we make payments there, which most likely are going to be for low amounts, $15.50, we can put those rules in place, which will apply to the supplier 7-Eleven. And we can then tell Xero how to code those out. So which account to be posted to, which tax rate to be given, which description as well. It's a much more efficient, easier, and accurate process of reconciling your recurring cash transactions. And again, all we need to do is go ahead and press OK. And that bank rule has been applied and now reconciled when we completed that step. Now, if you do want to create your own bank rules, you can press Manage Account at the top there, and you can click the Bank Rules button. And you'll be able to create spend money and receive money bank rules, as well as transfer money cash transaction rules too. If you want to find out more, please search the term bank rules using your question mark at the top here, because of course, this links you straight through to Xero Central. You could use the web page, or you could just use your help bar here. And we've even got an article for you what you can use to create your very own bank rules from scratch. So another way that you can reconcile your bank account is by using a feature which we've built in called Auto Suggest. Now I am just going to scroll down quickly. I'm going to find a statement line, which I know exists here. I prepared it earlier. It's going to be for Cooper Street Bakery. Now I did mention a few moments ago we would create our very own cash transactions. And this is what we're going to do right away to set up showing you the Auto Suggest feature. So Cooper Street Bakery, we've spent $15.75 out of our bank account. We've got no auto match or bank rule being applied on the right-hand side. And if you remember, the right-hand side relates to our transactions on Xero, of which we currently have none. So what I can do is I can use the Create tab, which is what we default through to anyway, to start to fill out some details. Now I'm going to pop in Cooper Street Bakery. I'm actually going to press New Contact because it will now create a new contact record for me if they don't already exist on Xero. And I can then tell Xero what it's for. So I'm going to put in entertainment. Now you can select from any account within your chart of accounts. And if you're not too sure what your chart of accounts is, A, speak to your financial advisor, but B, a quick definition, it's essentially the filing cabinet where you post transactions to, and then they will appear in the correct section of your financial reports. You could pop in a description, coffee and donut, and we could even pop in a tracking category as well. Now, we do actually show you tracking categories in other webinars, but just a quick definition for you because it really is a powerful tool to use. With tracking categories, you can track or analyze areas of your business. So perhaps where costs are coming from, maybe where sales are coming from as well. What's great about it is by assigning a tracking category to a cash transaction like we're doing now, or maybe an invoice or a bill or maybe a journal, we can actually come to run customized reports and actually see what the profit or loss is, for instance, for all of our tracking category options. Now, you are able to set up to 2 tracking categories in Xero with up to 100 options available. And we're just using 4 for now, and these seem to be the regions within our business. So I can now track this cost and assign it to our East Side region, and I can even update the relevant tax code. Once we're good to go, then we can press OK, but I want to show you what Auto Suggest can do for you. We've just created our cash transaction, and you know what? The coffee and donut was so good, it looks like we went back the next day on the 7th of December, because at the bottom here, we have another Cooper Street Bakery statement line. This time, it's for a little bit less, but again, nothing is filled out on Xero. We don't have a transaction to assign our statement line to currently. Well, here becomes the magic of Auto Suggest. So keep your eyes peeled on that second Cooper Street Bakery transaction on the right-hand side where my mouse is wiggling. Because now I've filled in the data for the first line, as soon as I press OK, Xero will now fill in that information for me. And that truly is the power of Auto Suggest. Xero uses AI learning, and as much as you use your reconciliations, those suggestions will become better to suggest how to treat that statement line based on what we've posted previously. Now, in this instance, it's actually copied through the data the exact same way, even the description. But the more you use your reconciliation tool in Xero and code out these transactions, the better those suggestions will become. And I still retain the functionality to override any of those choices that I have filled in on those fields, even the tax rate, for example. Again, once I'm good to go, I can press OK, and I've then just gone ahead and reconciled my second statement line. So Auto Suggest is going to speed up the process of creating your cash transactions, creating those all-important transactions to reconcile against the statement line. It will make your reconciliations faster, accurate, more consistent, and of course, more enjoyable. So one more example we're going to have a look at whilst we are in our bank account is actually right here at the top with Smart Agency. Now on the right hand side, I can see I've got no transaction currently posted to Xero. In this instance, it would be a bill because we're spending that $4,500 from our bank. We've got no bank rule. And we don't have any auto suggest feature being posted up right now either. So what we can do is we can use the find and match tool on the right hand side. If I go ahead, give that a click, I'm now able to search through all of my invoices and bills to find out exactly what this payment is for. So in the search bar, I'm going to pop in Smart because of course the reference there is Smart Agency. And really handily, someone's put a reference on that payment, 01950210, which perfectly matches to the references on these 2 bills. So to reconcile one total statement line to multiple documents, it could be ins or outs, so bills or invoices, all we need to do is tick them. We will then see everything highlights in green, our totals match at the bottom, and all I need to do is press reconcile. So that is how we would reconcile one statement line to multiple documents in Xero. Fantastic. So bright green tick by our reconciliation demo for today. We've now finished that off. We're now going to take a look though at invoicing in Xero. I think it's a really important area to look at because of course any successful business, they are going to be raising invoices for their customers once they provided goods or services. So to move across to our sales area, we're going to go up to business and we're going to click our sales overview tab. Now this sales overview tab is essentially your sales dashboard. Now from here, you can see your invoices in different stages. We've got our draft invoices yet to be approved, those that are awaiting approval, those that are awaiting payment once they have been approved, and the all-important overdue figure as well for those invoices that our customers have kind of not paid and the due date has come and gone. Below this, we can see our money coming in graph, which again is fully interactive. I could hover my mouse over or click straight through to those bar charts to get a breakdown report, and also have my customers owing the most list. Now, we can see this as a list or perhaps a pie chart, and it will show me the customers on Xero that in fact owe me the most amount, as per the invoices I've raised for them. Now, at the top of our screens, we have a plus new button with a drop down aside it. Now, from here, we can create a new invoice from scratch. We can create a new quote from scratch. We can even set up a repeating invoice template. Now, what that would do is if you are charging the same amount to the same customers every single week or month, you could actually set up a repeating invoice template to automate that process for you. So maybe you're busy with your business, maybe you've just opened, or maybe you generally are just busy with something else, maybe managing your business. Let Xero take control of that process for you. Let it create those invoices so that your invoices and sales ledger are always as up to date as can be. And of course, we can also create credit notes too for maybe any goods that have been returned. So we're going to click invoice in this instance. We're going to have a look at the process of raising a new invoice in Xero. Now we are using the new invoice templates within Xero. Now, if it does look a little bit different in your organization, it's probably because you're using the classic invoicing method. All you'll want to do is use the button at the bottom here to switch across to our new invoice template. Now within this invoice, the first thing to do is to choose what contact we want to invoice to. And what you will notice is as soon as I start typing, there is a list of all of the contacts I have on Xero. Now this is being pulled in from our contacts tab, which we would have set up, but by all means, I could even create a new contact from scratch. So let me just type in anything. There we go. They're clearly not a contact there, but just to prove my point, I could set up that awful name there as a new contact and then update that contact record a little bit later on. But we're going to go with Bayside Wholesale in this example. Now with Bayside Wholesale, everything is going to be pulled in nice and easy. And I've just clicked across there just to show you that our contact record does in fact exist. That's been pulled in from the contacts tab. But just to go back a stage, that draft invoice, now that we've chosen who our customer is going to be. We can choose the issue date using suggested dates from the drop down, or we could pick another with that calendar function, or we could simply type that in. We could choose the due date. You'll see the invoice number has been populated automatically because we set that up when we created our organization in our invoice number sequencing. Branding themes simply just relates to how our invoices will look. We can set these up and customize them within our organization settings. So just choosing what the invoices will look like once we've sent them to our customer. And of course, we can change the currency we're using. Just make sure you have the premium version of Xero as part of your subscription in order to do that. And we can also attach an online payment service to help us get paid faster from our clients. By attaching a payment service, you will actually get paid, yes, twice as fast, but B, you'll also have a bright green Pay Now button on your invoices, which makes it nice and easy for your customers to make that payment straight away. Now, I'm not too fussed as to what I pop in the description here, because what I would like to show you is the stage it comes to when you want to send this out to your customer and what they're going to see. So I've popped in any old information within that line item. I'm going to press approve. We're going to approve this this invoice straight away. And we then have 3 overflow menu dots here in the top right-hand corner. Now I'm going to go ahead and give that a click. From here, we have a get link option. Now I want to show you exactly what the customer will see. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm actually going to open it up today within our demo to show you what the customer will see once they retain their online invoice from their email notification. So we're looking at this from the perspective of the customer. They're literally going to see what we have on screen here. Again, we've got that bright green Pay Now button in the top left-hand corner because we've enabled payment services. Now, what that means is our customers could maybe make payments via Stripe, go cardless, maybe PayPal, just to name a few services, but the payment will be made straight away. Of course, if that button wasn't there, they may leave it a few days, maybe a few weeks before they make payment. But by having that button there, we can speed up that process because as soon as they press Pay Now, they can just fill in their details. In this instance, we're using PayPal. I'm not going to log into PayPal because I've actually accidentally paid one of these fictitious invoices off before using my personal details. So I'm just going to reopen up that online invoice again. Now that customer could ask a question, they could download it to PDF or CSV. And of course, all the information shown here is in real time. So if we make any adjustments on our end, our customers can re-access that link via email and they can see that real-time update on their end. So that is going to be the document, the invoice that they will see. What I'm going to show you really quickly then is invoice reminders because yes, whilst we have a Pay Now button there on screen that will prompt payment, some customers are not going to pay on time. It's just a byproduct of running small business. So we are going to go to the top of our screen as I close this invoice here. We're going to go to organization in the top left-hand corner. We are going to click our organization settings, and I'm then going to move through to my invoice settings. And I want to show you where you can set up your invoice reminders. And we're not going to be going into too much depth with it today. There'll be a lot of detail to setting that up. But what you are able to do is press the invoice reminders button here. And once it's loaded up, we will have a pop-out window. There we go. We can select the frequency that the invoice is overdue by. We can even set our very own custom reminder date there on the right-hand side. And we can then press edit. We can then customize the subject line and the message contents that is going to be sent out with that invoice reminder, that copy of the invoice. Once we press save, we can include a quick link to our online invoice. We can include a PDF link. We can even set materiality thresholds, which essentially in this example, all it means is any invoices that are $1 or less, when they become due, if they haven't been paid, we're not going to chase those amounts because they are so minor, it's not going to make a difference to our accounts. So I would really recommend checking out invoice reminders because one Xero user, when we had a classroom in the UK, they actually summed it up in the best way possible. They defined it for me. And that was, it's essentially a free debt collection service built in to your subscription. You don't have to have those awkward conversations with your customers anymore, those late paying customers. Instead, let Xero deal with that for you. So we've looked at the sales side of things. The next logical side to look at is, of course, our purchases. So back into business, and we're going to click our purchase overview. And as you will see, it's very similar to what we've just looked at with our sales. Again, we've got the statuses of all of our bills. And from the drop-down button by the plus new at the top, we can raise a bill, repeating bill, credit note, and even that purchase order function as well. Don't forget, we've got the quick action toolbar at the top, that plus button, where we can do that too. So you'll always have access to that plus button from wherever you are within Xero. Now I'm going to jump into awaiting payment because I want to show you a few options you have available to getting your bills onto Xero in the first place. Now, of course, we can press new bill. That'll just create a new bill, one-off from scratch. From the drop-down, we can create a new repeating bill. We can also import our bills via CSV template. So by coming into awaiting payment, pressing that green drop-down and selecting import bills, we now have the option of downloading a CSV template. We can then fill that CSV template in with all of our billing information as per the column headers, forgot the word there, as per the column headers, and we can then re-upload it into Xero. So getting multiple bills into Xero at once. Again, building efficiencies in our day-to-day workflow. So just going back a page, we also have our automate bill entry button. Now, this is a fantastic introduction to data capture, and I'll mention data capture in a few moments. What we can do is we can click Automate Bill Entry. We can copy this unique email address, which we are provided with here in this field. We can copy that across to an email provider. So literally typing out a new email, this will be the sender. Now in that email we're typing out, we can actually attach PDF versions of our bills and then press send. Now once we send that through, all of those PDF attachments will be created as individual draft bills within our draft tab. So what you could do to cut down on time massively is you could actually set up an email rule within your email provider. So that as soon as you attach those PDFs, they are automatically sent through to Xero. They will then appear as draft bills, and all you need to do is work through that draft tab, let's say once a day or week, and actually approve those bills as you go. It is a much faster way of dealing with your bills in Xero. From your drop-down, you actually have access to HubDoc as well. Now, HubDoc is our full data capture solution. And when I say data capture, all we're doing here is we're using a tool where we can upload bills, invoices, receipts, and allowing that tool, HubDoc in this instance, to automatically extract data for us based on the photo, image, PDF, whatever it may be, that we've entered in. So rather than typing stuff out and putting that attachment on, HubDoc will auto-extract that data for us and actually send that straight into Xero based on the rules that we've popped in. So we have the choice of publishing those documents. And again, it is a much faster way, a more convenient way of getting your data into Xero, not just for your bills, but for your receipts and invoices as well. Now, we're not going to be jumping into HubDoc in today's session, but what I would suggest you do is have a look for our Automate Data Entry using HubDoc webinar, which can be accessible through our Xero Central page. Access Xero Central using your initials in the top right-hand corner. You can be pulled straight through to Learning, Xero Central, and all you need to do is search for HubDoc in that search bar, and you'll be taken through all of the resources and articles we have available for you. And of course, one thing I will mention is that we've got the webinar available for you, but most importantly, HubDoc is included in all starter, standard, and premium edition Xero plans for free. So you do not pay extra to use that data capture solution that we have provided you with. So the final part of our demo for today's session is just to take a quick look at reporting. Now, of course, reporting is going to be crucial when it comes to that period end. Maybe it's the week, the month, the quarter, or even the year. We're going to want to run really accurate reports using real-time information on Xero to ensure we have a grasp of what exactly is happening within our business, and so that we remain compliant with our third-party regulatory body. Of course, in the UK here, that is HMRC. You're going to want to make sure that you have the relevant tax authority in your state or wherever you may be. What we can do then is we can move across to Accounting menu, and we can select the Reports tab, which is our Reports Center. Now, one report I want to show you today is in fact our Profit and Loss report, which is favorited here at the top of our screens. And actually, by the way, just a favorite report, find it by scrolling down, click that star, it will then turn blue, and you can access it from your favorites header within your report center or from your accounting menu drop down. There we have it, business performance. But we're interested in that all-important profit and loss report. So let's go straight through and have a quick look at what we can do to customize this report. But firstly, what can we see? Well, we have December as our date range, which we can change if we wish to. We've got some suggested dates based on our year-end date in Xero. We could also introduce comparative periods. If I click 4 months and press update, I'm now looking at December's data compared with 4 previous months: November, October, September and August, which of course are the previous months to December. If I click more, tick year to date and press update, I'm actually introducing a year to date column as well, which will aggregate all of those totals for that period and comparative periods in one neat column there on the right hand side. Now, as I've been moving my mouse over these balances, you'll notice that they are hyperlinked. And that brings me through to a fantastic feature Xero provides pretty much across all pages in Xero. And that is interactivity. Okay, we can click straight through to those balances, and I've done that in a separate tab there. And I'll be taken through to a breakdown of that total, where I can see individual transactions. I can even click further into those transactions. It will take me down to that source data, and I could then maybe make an edit or maybe just review what I have there. So interactivity is going to be key when it comes to running your reports to drill down into your data a little bit further. What else can we do then? Well, on the left-hand side, we have our common formats panel. Now, these are common formats or styles of the reports that you've suggested to us, our Xero community. So I could potentially compare my actuals to my budgets within Xero using my budget variance common format, my current period versus 3 months. Maybe I could use compare region, which is that tracking category we looked at previously. And actually, do you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give that a click. So we're going to wait for that to load up. And what I'm just going to remind you of is, remember, tracking categories are used to track or analyze costs or sales or anything really within your business that you wish to have a look at in a little bit more depth. Because when we come through to running this report, profit and loss in this instance, we can see a new column for each of my tracking category options. So rather than just seeing one total for the year ending the 31st of December, I can actually break it down further by those tracking category options. Now that will allow me to see the sales, the costs by tracking category, and the all-important profit or loss figure, which will of course help me to make effective business decisions. For instance, is the East Side region really performing as much as I want it to, or as well as I would like it to? Now, any transactions on Xero that aren't given a tracking category can actually be housed in an unassigned column on the right-hand side. So if you don't give it a tracking category, that's fine. It will be in the unassigned column on the right. And of course, all I would need to do is click that total there, or whichever one I would like to be taken through to a breakdown of individual transactions. I could then maybe assign a tracking category at that stage. And once I'm good to go, I have a few options here at the bottom of my screen. I could save this as a draft report, publish the figures, so fixing them in time. And if I've made any changes, maybe to the styles we just did there with tracking categories, I could also save it as a custom template, ready to use next period. I could also export the report to PDF, Excel, or Google Sheets. And Google Sheets is a fan favorite of mine because it allows me to collaborate with other people nice and easily. So taking that data out of Xero and collaborating on it with other people, other stakeholders to the business. So that brings us to the end of our demo for today, but I'm going to quickly hop back to my keynotes because we have some really important things just to run through before we close off today's webinar. So I'm going to quickly talk about some optional features that you have available to use or bolt on to your Xero subscription. Now we're going to look at 3 today: Xero Projects, Xero Expenses, and Xero Analytics Plus. So they can be added to your Xero subscription as and when your business requires that functionality, which allows you to grow at your very own pace. So first up, Xero Projects, which is, by the way, is a feature which is accessible throughout the whole globe. Any country with Xero will have access to Xero Projects. And funny enough, by the way, same with expenses, same with analytics. All of these add-on features will be available within the US territory. So Xero Projects. Create unlimited projects and track all time and expenses against a job, giving you a clear picture of where your time and money has been spent. Once the job has been completed, you are able to look back on it, maybe for review purposes, and also potentially to make improvements to future projects you run, potentially saving you money next time. We then have Xero Expenses. So if you have staff that incur business expenses, either reimbursable or non-reimbursable, then you could use the Xero Expenses app or the browser version as well to upload and send for approval any expenses that are incurred. And of course, in turn, you can then make reimbursement to your staff or employees. And the final add-on product product, I was about to say projects there, the final add-on product we'll have a look at is Analytics Plus. Now, within Xero, you will already have access to Analytics, which gives you the business snapshot and short-term cash flow reports. And in these, you will find some great insights and projections. But if you're looking to make more informed decisions, then you may want to upgrade to Analytics Plus. This has AI-powered predictions and deeper insights available for customization. And just to give you one example, with your short-term cash flow reports, you can actually run those up to 90 days in the future, as opposed to the standard package, which allows for 30 days. So gaining deeper insights into exactly what is happening within your organization. And as well as that, I do need to shout out our wonderful 24/7 support team. Help is always going to be available along the way. Of course, we saw a moment ago how you have access to that question mark from within your Xero header. So anytime you can get access to the resources we prepared for you, which of course link to Xero Central. Now on Xero Central, you can raise cases with our 24/7 support team, and they of course will call you back if we don't get it resolved for you. You can also invite them live into your organization to work through any issues in real time.